Hey, what's up, guys? It's Talha here again, and today we are going to implement a stack using lists in Python. We don't use arrays, we use lists instead. And because it's really easy to implement a stack using lists in Python, as you'll see in a little bit. You don't need to uh, make pop and push functions from the scratch. You can all just use the built-in or you can say ready-made functions which Python has for you in its library, and you can make use of them to make your work easier, and it's really simple as well compared to, of course, C++ and C, where you have to do everything from scratch. Here you just make use of the built-in functions and stuff to make it practical for yourself. So let's implement stack. In the previous video I've shown what a stack data structure is and what it does and how it works. So if you haven't watched that video, go check it out. So here let's first create a class excuse me, and the name of this class, let's say, is, we should keep the name stack and so the name of the class is stack. Now what you want to do is we want to define two variables. One is, let's say, an array, or that's the built-in name. Let's use another name, for example. Let's use my own name, Talha. So Talha is an array, and let's first define sorry, this is a list. Let's first define this list as an empty list. So right now this list doesn't have anything inside, so the benefit of this is that they are dynamic. So they are not limited in size. You can change the size anytime you want. You just have to append the or pop the items inside the list, so as you'll see in a bit. And so this, as I so yeah I think, and I think this is the only variable which you have to define for this class. Now what you want to do is we want to make functions. So let's first make a function um, called push, and this function, this self is kind of this pointer. So here I'll say self, and also I'll have to give it a parameter as well, because you're obviously going to push an item. So self dot item, sorry, self dot Talha dot append, and I'm going to append item which I get from here. So this is the only thing I have to do. Now what I have to do is I have to make another function called pop, and what I mean by pop is that whenever I call this function, the topmost element from the list from the stack should be returned, and the stack should be modified. So let's first check. So if um, our list, if Talha list, if Talha double equals empty, and why is it giving me an error? Sorry, if self, we'll also have to reference it through the object, because in C++ it was implicitly done for us. This pointer was being used anywhere where we declared variables inside the class, but right here in Python we'll have to manually declare this self, so that the program can know that you want to use this variable or this list with an object. So here I am going to say if self.talha is empty, then print out a message that stack underflow means it cannot delete any further items because the list is empty. So stack underflow if or else um, what I'm going to do, I'm going to self dot dot pop, and it also requires, or you have to give, if you want to give it an index, you can give it a -1, and with the index -1 it will target the last item, means the first item from the right hand side. So that will of course be the topmost item in the list. So, and this pop function, what it does, it it returns and deletes the item from the and deletes the topmost item in the stack and returns it. So if you want to return it, you can just type return, and this, there we go. So it will now return the item, and as well as you know uh, modify the indexes of the list. So actually what pop function does, it does not delete, it basically does not delete the item, it just modifies the indices of the list. So the topmost index of the list will be the second last item, so instead of the first item. The item will still be there, and when you will further on in the future will modify the list, or if you will push more items, that item will be overridden. So I think that's the main concept behind the pop function. I spent quite a bit of time searching what it does, and after some research I found how it works. So, and now so this was the pop function, and now let's define some more functions which can help us in making different models, and so working with the stack. So let's define a function. Let's say is empty, which will uh, you know return a boolean value telling true or false. True means the stack is empty, and false means obviously it's not empty. So return talha double equals, and still I have to use self here because I'm referencing it through the object, of course. So return self dot talha double equals square brackets. So if this expression is true, it will return true. If it's false, it will return false. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Now let's define another function, peak. So peak. So what this function will do, it will return the topmost item, and it will not modify the stack. It will just let you peek in to the topmost item in the stack. So it's basically uh, it's similar to the pop function, but so if I'm going to copy it, so else return self dot talha, and I'll include the negative index. So it will just return it. It won't modify the stack. It will just return the topmost element in the stack. And so this was a peak function, and so we have push, pop is empty, peak, and what else? Oh yes, and def display. If you want to get the whole stack after we're done, operating with all the stack, we just want to know what are all the elements in the stack. So let's say I make a function display stack, and this function, and inside this function, what I do is I return the stack itself, I mean the list. So I return talha. No, actually I don't return the list, I return self, sorry, return self dot talha. There you go. So now I think our model is ready, and okay, so or we can just define this variable inside a constructor. So inside the def init, function, we can put self, and also I have to indent it as well. So there you go. So self dot line if I want. Yes, so when so this function right here is going to be called implicitly. So sorry, implicitly I think. And so we don't have to call it explicitly, it will be called implicitly, this constructor function, and the rest of the process will be the same as I explained. So let's test it out. So I'm going to create a stack object, and let's say object equals stack, and so I created an object. So right now this tag is empty, so if let's say I call um, print object dot is empty, so and now I'm not actually going to print, I'm going to push, sorry, object dot push, and let's say 21 as an integer. I again want to push, I again want to enter some values, and I again want to insert some values, so let's say 12, and let's do another one. So I insert three values, object dot push, and let's say 34. So these are three values I have inserted. Now what I will do is I want to pop the topmost value, so object dot pop, and it will pop of course the topmost element, so for the topmost element, and so that this is going to be popped 34, and then what I do is I um, I peek, so object dot peek, so it should return this 12, and it should let us peek to this number 12, but it won't modify the stack. And then what I do is um, for some to explain this, I'll actually print these values as well, so you guys have a better idea how this is all working out. So object dot pop, and I'm going to create an empty print statement, so I can have a extra line, to an extra blank line, and here object dot peek, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the object dot display array, and what it should give me, 21 and 12 as the answer. So let's see if it is working as intended. So let's run the program and check it out. Alright, so first I made an object stack, then I printed is object empty, and it returned true, so that means it was empty. Then I pushed 21 12 and 34, and what it did, so these are three values, then there is an empty line object pop, so it popped 34, it popped 30. Actually I should have I should print another empty print statement here as well, so here, so it returned true here, then it pushed three values, then there's an empty line, then we have object.pop, and the value it popped was 34, which was this value. Then we have object.peek, so now we have 12 as the topmost element in the stack, and it is letting us peek at this element 12. Then we have object.display stack, and this is the stack which we are left with. So 34 is removed and the stack is modified to being of only, consisting of only two elements, 21 and 12. So this is how stack works. Alright guys, if you have any questions you can ask in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.